If you are listening to the sound of my voice right now, that lets me know that you're okay. I'm Jay Del Negro, and you are listening to The Next 40. Whether you're watching this on YouTube or you are listening to it on your DSPs, this episode is a little different than any of my previous episodes. This one does involve a current aspect of my life and my world, and I am reflecting, but it's more in real time. I just want to warn you that a portion of what I discuss on this episode does involve self-deletion. So if you're sensitive to that kind of thing, I recommend that you don't listen to or watch this episode, and instead, but I bring it up because it's important and it was something I was not prepared for myself. So this episode of The Next 40 is about anxiety and how crippling it can be for me. I don't know what I'm doing, but I know what I want to do. I want to explain something that most of you watching this probably don't even have a clue or any concern about because you're just an audience watching a stranger online either paint, tell a story that references something else, or try to prove a point. But honestly and generally, you don't know me, so why would you have any worry or any concern? So when I say I don't know what I'm doing, there's no formal plan, there's no idea for engagement. I just know I need to talk about this because it'll make a difference for me to get it out, and maybe it'll make a difference for someone else to see and understand, like, this happens, and I don't know how you prepare for it or how you maintain that's wrong. I don't know if you can prepare for it, but I do believe you can maintain while it's present. You ever feel out of control? And a lot of times that happens, I believe, because people are inebriated. They're under the influence of alcohol or drugs, and maybe they black out, or maybe they're just gone too far off of whatever substance they have consumed, and then they're out of control. But what about when sure that's being picked up? That can't be any good. They're probably coming here now that I think about it. Because the alarm has been going off. And, well, got nothing to do with me, but, you know. Engine 43, I don't think it's in my shot, but they show up a little bit in the shot. Fascinating. So back to being out of control. Much like this building, there's an alarm going off. It appears to be out of control because no one can manage it, but it also does not appear to be a means or a way to get it under control. There doesn't appear to be anybody in the building but the right people are here to help. Well, they're leaving now. But they don't want me to win. They just want to make noise. So much like the building, the alarm's out of control and no one can calm it. What do you do when that happens in your mind? Yikes. Especially when you can't think of a reason why. But what do you do when your brain and your body can't make sense of whatever you have going on? How do you come to terms with that when nothing happened, but that's what's going on? When I say nothing happened, there's nothing I can pinpoint that happened. Of course, something happened, but I snapped and I lost it. And it wasn't out of control, break stuff, destroy kind of snap. It was more, I can't tell my mind to stop doing what it's doing. And I just wanted to stop. It was a Monday, Tuesday night, so not even a full week ago just yet at the time of me recording this. I had a hard time sleeping and I couldn't breathe. Not being able to breathe, I decided I wanted to get up and take a walk. At the time of night, let's just say it was 11-ish, I'm not certain, but after hours where any store was closed where I can possibly get something that might help me breathe, but I couldn't breathe, so I wanted to take a walk to open up airways. Except there was this other feeling that was consuming me, and that feeling was dread. Imagine not being able to make sense of anything, but all you can do, try to make sense of it, is walk back and forth. Breathe deep. Still feel like you can't breathe because that's a part of the issue. All you can do is walk to try to make sense of whatever is bothering you. This was me, Tuesday night, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, just pacing. This is me. This is what I'm doing. Can't make sense of anything that's happening right now. All I can do is pace. My brain and my body are not speaking the same language, and my brain is blowing things way out of proportion, and my body can't regulate the way that feels. So when you've been pacing for hours and hours on end, and you can't make sense of anything that's happening, that feeling of dread sets in. And I don't say dread as like hyperbolic or a way to try to make it seem like it was bigger than what it was. But the feeling was literally saying to me, you have to make this stop. And if you stop, that's okay too. I've never felt that way before. Never had any inkling that I could even feel this way. So even to think about references to like film and movie and maybe even real life where people say they're depressed or they get anxious, they're having a panic attack. I never could relate to it because I never saw it as something relatable. It just seemed out of sight, out of mind. I always thought they could, snap their finger and feel differently. Not the case. I would be triggered by who knows what. I don't know what triggered it to begin with. Not being able to breathe, feeling unsettled in my stomach, but like constricted, feeling hot and sweaty and bothered, and I could not sit still. I was fidgeting, I was moving, and the more I moved, the more it got worse. And I had no one to talk to. It's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. I already had bad ideas about 4 o'clock in the morning because that's when I got a phone call, one of my best friends that died, and it just always lingered with me. And it was so many thoughts at that one given time. And I couldn't make sense of it. And all I wanted to do was make sense of it and make it stop. And I could not. I could not rest. I could not sit still. I paced over 7 miles in a matter of a few hours. When I say pace, I'm talking just back and forth. No stretches longer than 5-6 yards. Walking around circles around my property where my car is and in the house. And that's just what's recorded. I was just, and I could not eat because my stomach was full and my mouth felt dry because I kept drinking and it just would not quench the way I was feeling. It was just an awful, awful experience. No sleep, up for 24 plus hours. I can't remember the time of day, but I made a phone call. And the person I called was my kid's mom. And her professional background lends its hand towards this kind of experience, at least in the workforce. What can I do for help? So I asked her about that. And then she was concerned because I guess she could hear something in me. And she asked me about what was going on. And I unloaded, and that began to calm me down. So we're not talking 6, 7 in the morning, middle of the day. I'd already called out of work. I made a doctor's appointment in the middle of the night, got one for that evening. I took a couple meds that made it worse. It exacerbated the thing, but I just wanted to do something. It did not do something. The medicines were over-the-counter stuff. It was tough. The toughest day of my life. But something happened on the other side, and I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful for that. What happened on the other side was my people came through and showed up for me. Most of them had no clue, but when I say they had no clue, they had no direct inkling that something was up, but they all reached out to me on Tuesday. And by all, I'm not literally meaning every single person that matters to me in my life, but what I'm saying is I needed people. I felt so isolated. I felt so scared. I was frightened. And I just needed the resource that was community. I needed love. I needed support. I had someone say to me before this broke down that maybe I need to take some time for myself. And part of that was trying to figure out what time for myself looks like. Because I don't think about myself. I think about the ones I love before myself. It's always someone else and then it's me. So truthfully, I don't even know what I like to do because I don't think about it. I do like to walk and hike. I enjoy certain foods like medium salmon, a flourless chocolate waffle with some French vanilla ice cream. Love it. Good salty fry. I enjoy some things, but I really don't know what I like. I paint, but that's just an outlet, an extension of myself to be creative. It's not like I do it because I love it. I do it because I can, and it feels like I should. But knowing what I like. Some people like vacationing. I don't know that about me. I don't really vacation. Some people like going to fancy restaurants all the time. I don't know that about me. I don't go to fancy restaurants and I don't think about it. But my friend said, maybe take a trip to visit your best friend. An hour later, I get a phone call and it was from my best friend. He was in town. Moved out of town 4 or 5 years ago. He just so happened to be in town the day that I needed him and everybody to show up for me. So I'm not really religious or spiritual, but I do believe in magic. And that was clearly a sign that the universe was spinning its magic up for me on that day. Tuesday was tough, super tough. The doctor's visit, tough. being in the room with the closed walls, stuff that never bothered me before bothered me on that day. The ride home, because I didn't take myself, tough. I was so panicked. I wanted to get out on the interstate and walk, just to get out because the wall seemed so tight and small. And I could not make anything make sense for me. I just wanted to have the space, and everything felt so small. I've been talking about how everything is tough or small, or I felt compacted and I was out of control. And eventually, my people showed up for me, and I appreciated it, and I needed them, and it gave me the courage I needed to get through the toughest stage of my life up until this point. So, what did that part look like? Well, what I found out was that talking about some things may have triggered it. Talking about completely other things brought me peace. And trying to figure out and explore what's happening here helped my mind come back into a tangible, salient place. Talk to my best friend, talk to my kid's mom, talk to the woman I'm dating, talk to my other good friend. Had phone calls from other people that I didn't feel like explaining things to, but I'd have loved to talk to, all on that same day, to help give me some sense of control. Talk to my mom, talk to my aunt. These are phone calls that might have come weeks in between, but it all happened on the same day because the universe wanted me to know my people were there for me, and my people wanted me to be there for them. I've got to say, I don't know how I would have pulled through if not for my people. Sound advice, listening ears, open hearts, caring people. And like I said in the previous episode, believe in your people, and I absolutely believe in mine. And my people believe in me. Which led me to want to be more open and honest about like my life and how I live, not necessarily like sharing it and making everything content, but like my lived experience should be a lot more open, a lot more free, a lot more honest. Because like I can't pinpoint why this happened, but I can say rebounding from it and pulling away from it, I feel different. I feel purposeful, I feel intentional, and like this is the way I should operate. So what do I do to change this? How do I go about changing this? I mean, I feel the change, but specifically, like what steps do I take to make sure that I don't stay in this low, anxious, fearful place? First and foremost, I got to talk. And that's kind of what this experience is, me sharing the ideas of what's happening to me. This may be an awful spot because these crickets or beetles or whatever are going crazy. But sharing the experience about what happened to me, making people aware I'm not okay. I fell down. It felt awful. And I got to come up from it, plain and simple. Second thing, being pursuant and active about what I want for me. I mentioned earlier, like, I don't know what I want because I don't think about myself. But I can do something about that and put myself first, like look for me so that I can take care of me. Thirdly, speak to professionals. The weight of my loved ones, they can't bear all of this. My friends don't have most of the correct answers. I need to seek somebody with some letters behind their name. Go talk to them about how I'm feeling. I don't know if it's prolonged. I don't know if it's just quick. I do know it has to happen. So there are resources available, and I will take those upon me to use them and figure out what I can do for me. And I guess fourthly, like, don't stop. Like, the feeling was debilitating. I could not get away from it. I had no clue on how to help myself. My brain and my body was saying stop, when in fact, I did not want to stop. I started to make sense of what I was feeling, whether right or wrong, and started to push through more and more every day. So not fully a week from it, do I feel clear? No. I wake up in the morning, it feels weird. As the day goes on and I start to engage in different activities, I feel better. As the night comes around and I start thinking about sleep and I start thinking about breathing, I don't know how I feel anymore. It's neither here nor there. Right now feels better than the day before, which felt better than the day before. And that's the way I'm processing and proceeding. But it is not out of sight. It is not out of mind. But it will not be my character. And I will absolutely get through this and come out better on the other side. I'm giving up my fuck shit. I'm making amends where I can. I'm reaching out to say I'm sorry to people who might not even know that I have a reason to apologize to them. I'm going to live fuller. And that's a part of why I started this podcast to begin with. I'm pretty sure in the very first episode, I said something about I want a better life for me, for my next 40. This felt like a complete shutdown, Control-Alt-Delete, blue screen of not quite death, but we had to reboot in safe mode. And now we're trying to get out of that to make sure all my parameters and everything that should be working for me can work for me. And that's what this episode was about. This episode was about saying the words I need to say to let it be known. Everything's not okay every day. I had a hard time, toughest day of my life, but I wanted to talk about it to let people know. Believe in your people, because your people probably believe in you. I go by J Del Negro, and you've been listening to The Next 40.